Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pac-Man World Re-Pac. The direct has happened, and we did not, in fact, summon Re-Pac 2.
God damn it. God.
All right, you gotta have to refresh my memory because I don't remember every curse that we get involved with.
I made a comment during our Mario Party about, like, oh man, why didn't Nintendo ever do anything with Mario Party Superstars when everybody was really happy with what they did with it? And then, like, it was literally posted the day after, I think, the Nintendo Direct, where Mario Party Jamboree got announced.
We're so fucking good at this, we think. Not really.
So what was the curse you were hoping to intentionally evoke again? I remember that.
I know, it's never worked on purpose, because, you know, I can say all I want. Oh, man, Microsoft's just never going to release a real Banjo-Kazooie 3. And they still won't because they're Microsoft. It has to be unintentional.
During part one of this playthrough, you said a specific thing. I forget what it was because I'm tired. But
I don't know. Hopefully, it's about Pac-Man getting his wife back. Poor guy.
It's fucked up how I don't have $1 million yet.
I know. Jeez, man. John, if you won the lottery and got $1 million.
The BrainScratch curse is entirely game releases, dude. That doesn't even work.
Yeah. But assuming you did win $1 million, John, would you buy me ice cream?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, let's go.
Probably a Dippin' Dots.
Man. Goddamn.
Okay, but this what was said earlier. If it has to be video game related, it's fucked up how I don't have $1 million to buy video games and nothing else.
You probably would, right? Right?
No.
Okay, John, you can't tell me that with $1 million you wouldn't buy at least one video game.
No, I mean...
Well, at least one video game is one thing, but, like, even I would buy more than video games. I'd at least buy books, you know? And
about video games.
And a book... No, not even. I am, and have been since grade school, a pretty heavy reader, okay?
That is true. I'm pretty sure Lewis is the most avid reader of the group. I've been trying to get better about it lately. I mostly just read at work these days, though, because I get home and I'm too tired.
I mean, these days, a lot of my reading is just laying in bed with my e-reader, but, you know.
Can you throw a Pac Dot into the creepy clown mouth and have something happen?
We can throw Pac Dots into it. I don't think it does anything, though.
Oh man, worst Carnival ever. 7 out of 10.
Mind you, I haven't tried, so I don't know for sure.
See, this is where we can do the called... Okay, this is one thing that I really like about this game, where I don't remember if the PS1 version did this, but all the ghosts wearing the stupid, like, clown noses and stuff in the clown level, and I'm pretty sure in, like, the pirate level they had pirate outfits on and stuff like that. That's really cute.
It reminds me a lot of the egg pawns in, which game was it where they got all dressed up? Was it Colors?
I think that was Sonic Colors, yeah.
I think it was Colors. That was charming. I wish Sonic would do more charming things.
I mean...
Oh, like, define charming. Like, what exactly are you expecting outside of giving egg robots chef's hat?
Stuff with any personality at all.
Yeah, you see, I think there's a problem with Sonic in that it doesn't have a consistent tone, and
Are we mentally up enough for this discussion?
No, but it doesn't matter.
I think the fact that I'm not... I think the fact that I woke up 10 minutes before this commentary is the reason I brought it up at all. I am way too sleepy to be charitable towards Sonic the Hedgehog right now.
Yeah. Because, like, Sonic hasn't had a consistent tone. I was going to say since the Adventure era, but no, since the start, because Sad AM is definitely not consistent in tone with the games, and the games aren't really consistent in tone with Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is far goofier than anything in the games even is. So
I would say that's more excusable, at least back in the day, though, because that was just like Sonic's starting period.
Yeah, granted,
so
but you can't...
nothing was really established yet. I'm not sure if they would already have what they would call a character Bible.
Yeah, that's fair.
You want consistent in tone, I brought it up before, but Robotnik's Fortress in the early Archie comics, where it would go from being cartoon fortress to the egg-shaped nightmare castle from Saddam back to being the cartoon fortress because they drew the issues out of order. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. So I feel like trying to get back on I had a point. I think I did have a point. Trying to have what we would consider charming in Sonic is always problematic because every Sonic fan wants stuff so different that you get people who get mad when things are too goofy, and then you get people who are mad when things aren't goofy enough. And so whenever they're trying to appeal to anything a little bit more serious, like you can't have a gun robot wearing a chef's hat, although actually, you know what? Fuck it, you can. Nothing's stopping them. The gun soldiers have to eat too. Let the gun soldiers cook, goddammit.
An army runs on its stomach. But
Yeah.
you know, it's funny you mention that because like, okay, one of the oddball things about Sonic Frontiers is that it's a very like serious, somber tone game, or at least it's attempting to be. Whether it succeeds is a your mileage may vary thing. One of the fundamental things about the Japanese market versus the American market is that they have a stronger preference toward cute things. So you'll see like the much cuter marketing version of Crash Bandicoot and all of that. Sonic kind of has a similar thing going on in its classic Sonic cover art, but in Sonic Frontiers they took it one step further and added like all these silly idle animations that are not in the Western release.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird. Let me see if I can find them. I know I've seen this before.
Are you sure it's something that wasn't brought over
Sonic
to the West? Because I don't know why they would region lock something like that.
Only idle animation. Okay. Oh yeah, here. First result. Sonic Frontiers Japanese exclusive idle animation. I will drop this in the chat, and then I will attempt to recover my blown out eardrums because the volume was at max when that happened. Let's see. Okay, so Sonic Frontiers Japanese exclusive idle animation. It's all kind of like sickeningly cute stuff with the Cocos.
I don't know why they would keep something like this. I'm assuming you're gonna show it on the video. Because we're sure as shit not talking about the game.
I'll drop it into the timeline, don't worry.
Apparently, I'm reading an article about it. Apparently, the Japanese version of the script was completely rewritten after the English version came out. To appeal to
I
the
think
different
correct,
audience.
and I might be wrong on this one. The game was written for English first.
Yes.
Ian Flynn wrote it in English, and then they retranslated it into... They rewrote it and retranslated it into Japanese.
Rewrote it and retranslated it, but apparently it wasn't the best.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Again, I don't know all the details, but I recall hearing that it was a pretty broken translation, all things considered, and the story is completely fucking weird and all over the place in the Japanese version.
At least they didn't then translate the Japanese script into a new English script.
Why would they do that? Lois, they would never.
So back to the platforming mascot that we're actually talking about. Oh wait, there is none. We're not actually talking about a platforming mascot. This is a Maze Muncher game that's been grafted into a platforming game and somehow works.
It is interesting to me, they've tried to put Pac-Man into platformers multiple times, not just in the Pac-Man World games. I find it interesting that this is what they keep on going to. I guess it's because, platformers are kind of the default kids game, sort of, in, I was going to say in today's market, but especially in the 90s too, when platformers were effectively the main genre on consoles.
Well, in the 90s, like a lot of other action-based platformers just straight up weren't codified yet in terms of mechanics. So it was also really hard to translate anything into a genre that wasn't clearly defined.
Yeah.
I also think but that was also if I was hearing that correctly, was more about the age group expectation.
Yeah.
Of the platformer genre. And that got me thinking, like, because I can't immediately think of an example outside of Conquer. Has there ever been a platformer that was catered to adults specifically?
Psychonauts?
You think Psychonauts?
Psychonauts,
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not aimed at kids, but I'd say it has more of a, like, teenage audience.
I would say teenage, yeah. Like, sort
Same
of,
thing. There are definitely a lot of examples of platformers that are aimed at teens, like Jak and Daxter, to a lesser extent,
Look.
Sly Cooper.
There is no difference at all between games that are catered toward teens and games that are catered toward adults. None. Not a one.
I would argue with that. A slight.
I wouldn't. No, because, like, you know, you might think, like, ratings and stuff, or going for, like, more violence or more sexual content. That stuff aims itself at teenagers harder, because teenagers are the ones who care more about that so-called adult stuff, because they're at that age where they think it's important to show how grown up they are by consuming grown-up things.
But also, isn't that sort of assuming that adult stuff is only sex and gore, though?
That's what. That's my point. Teenagers assume that shit.
If we're talking about, platformers where they're handling, like, legit adult themes and not just sex and gore, I'm honestly having a hard time thinking of many.
My point is that actual adults are way more chill about adult appeal in their.
That's not what Twitter tells me.
In their stuff.
Can't believe they made Pac-Man woke.
Dude, okay. Those guys are just teenagers in adult bodies. Okay.
You want to know what's more pathetic than being a man-child? Being a man teenager.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it is. You do bring up a good point in that, like, in terms of, and this isn't. I would necessarily. There are very few, I think, games just for kids. Ideally, your game is fleshed out well enough that anybody of all ages can enjoy it. Like, do I think a kid will probably get more out of Pac-Man World than an adult when they haven't seen a lot of 3D platformers before? Probably, but, I played this game when I was, like, 29, and I still liked it quite a bit.
You know what the weird thing about kid game versus adult game appeal in the 90s specifically was, though? It was that, like, the dividing line wasn't even what the game's subject matter was or what genre it was. It was whether it was console or PC at the time, because PC games had to be, designed for people who knew how to get down and dirty with their computer and actually, get things to run on them, because computers in the 90s sucked.
Yeah, you want to know what? It's funny you mentioned that, though, because the games I can think of that are most definitely kids' games are all PC stuff. Like, did you guys ever have those, like, PC Disney games where it was, like, based off of one of the movies, and then you would, like, click around, and then they would, like, do, like, a storybook thing of one of the movies, or, like, have a coloring book or in it or something like that?
There was that. I had a lot of stuff like that when I was a kid. Like 3D Dinosaur Adventure was my big one, and Math Blaster on the PCs at school and all that. But you see, the thing about that was those weren't really games marketed at kids. They weren't like the stuff that showed on TV that kids would pester their parents to buy for them. They were stuff marketed at parents who wanted something easy for their kid. And the parent would get it running on the computer for you, and then they would just leave you to it.
Oh, no, they didn't. But I had to do all that.
But they were also games that were made to run on, like, the shittiest PCs.
Most edutainment stuff from the mid to late 90s, yes.
Yes, but, like, the actual, like, PC gaming market was all, like, the hardcore RPGs and shooters that were, and, like, isometric shooters that were designed to run on, like, the top-tier hardware of the time. I'm thinking, like, the stuff that Origin Systems made that wasn't Ultima.
It's funny to think that, like, Fallout, the original, like, isometric Fallout was once, like, a AAA, extremely graphically impressive sort of game. I mean, it still looks good today, but it's just, fun with the way technology is.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say triple A. It started out and was mostly developed as a project that someone was doing in their spare time. And I don't think it like really gained any like budget traction until like it was at least partway through development and the guy showed it. And man, most of the old RPGs were like that. The fuck was Elder Scrolls 1?
The fuck was Elder Scrolls 1? Elder Scrolls 1, that was Oblivion, right?
Elder Scrolls 1 was Arena.
That was the first Elder Scrolls I heard of, so it's got to be the first
Oblivion was 4.
No, that's the only one everyone talks about outside of the second game, Skyrim.
Man, people
the
did
wait for
used
Elder
to at
Scrolls
least talk
3
about Morrowind.
has just been pain. Oh my god, Ryan, you should have died.
I'm glad to see that even in 3D Pac-Man, you still have clutch as shit arcade moments like that.
I'm pretty sure it was touching him at that point. Oh, this was really disappointing.
Clear.
The other day, I went to a niece's birthday party at a bowling alley, and they had a Miss Pac-Man arcade machine, which normally just being at the arcade is a better experience, but the stick was broken and turning down only worked like half the time. So it was really disappointing because it's like, I love Miss Pac-Man. I forgot how much better it was than original. Like I knew it was better. Like I always like understood that, but I hadn't played Miss Pac-Man in so long. I forgot just how much better Miss Pac-Man is than normal Pac-Man.
What is it that makes it a lot better than regular Pac-Man for you?
Multiple mazes for one.
Yeah, multiple mazes. You're faster too. It's not like Championship Edition faster, but it's noticeably faster, and so it's a lot more tense.
Because that was the reason why I loved playing the Genesis version specifically, because it gave you a boost button.
Man, the blast processing.
Yeah.
Man, the boost era Pac-Man just isn't anywhere near as good as normal original Pac-Man though.
Dimp's maze design doesn't quite hit the same.
I'll tell you what though, like when it comes to like original maze Pac-Man, the version that I got the most play out of was not like the versions you were talking about, or even the version that was packed into Pac-Man 2. It was Game Boy Pac-Man.
I had Game Boy Pac-Man, Game Boy Color Pac-Man. It was something edition. I don't remember. Anniversary edition. It might have been Pac-Man's like 10th anniversary. No, it would have been his like 20th anniversary at that point.
Well, for me, it wasn't even Game Boy Color Pac-Man. It was just Game Boy Pocket.
Oh, jeez. I mean, aside from the screen crunch, I remember it being a pretty good version of the original Pac-Man.
Screen crunch, I wouldn't say, not in that sense, it didn't have, because the entire maze was just on one screen. It was just everything was really goddamn tiny.
Oh, like Mario Land. What the fuck did you just?
He was about to run past the item, and then he cut when he realized, dipshit, you missed something.
Oh.
Yeah. The version I had was the same arcade like scale sprites, but there was screen crunch, so you couldn't like see the top left corner when you were on the top bottom right corner, or so on. Did I have a point? I don't remember. Why the hell are you?
Good morning, Ted.
Death Warp.
I do love a good Death Warp. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I remember. I had a point that point I made forever ago. I remember now. Do you think that there's any other genre of the Pac-Man would lend itself to, like, other than platforming? Like, if you're trying to emulate the maze style gameplay, any other way? I'm having trouble because I don't. You'd have to. I mean, maybe you could make a Pac-Man RPG. Actually, you know what? Namco, try it. Make Pac-Man RPG.
What, a dungeon crawler with maze? Isn't that just Shin Megami Tensei or early Persona?
You know what? I would find it very funny to walk into a random battle with Pac-Man, and you walk into a ghost, and then you ask the ghost to join your team, and he says, "All right, if you're such hot shit, then why don't you break this rock with your bare hands?"
Waka waka.
I do believe the implication, though, was that Atlas dungeons are mazes.
There's had to have been, not necessarily with Pac-Man, but there has to have been the idea of like taking, because when I think of the Pac-Man maze experience in the first person view of like Pac-Man, right? That's got to be right for a horror genre.
I did actually see, there is a YouTube video by Code Bullet where he codes a Pac-Man horror game. And in order to make it scary, he has each of the ghosts emit like their own separate like sound clip whenever they get close.
Yeah.
And then one of them is the fitnessgram test has 3 stages. Yeah, so you definitely could. I mean, isn't that fucking like one of the oldest memes in the book is that Pac-Man is the original horror game?
I mean, yeah, it definitely gives you anxiety when you're about to get pincered by a ghost.
I mean, you can fight back, but only temporarily. You can never win. You are only running.
Balls.
Yeah, I mean the drug connotations with Pac-Man are as old as the game itself. So in this essay,